Now you know how to ask questions. Let's see 5 ways on how you can answer them. These 5 ways are really gonna help you flower your Hindi. Your Hindi is gonna blossom. Any sentence you use or any question somebody asks you, you can answer it this way. Let's get started. Now that you know how to ask questions in the previous module, now let's understand how to answer them. So how do you answer questions? And we're going to answer them using prepositions. Let's see how we can try to say them. So the background review, as usual, we love to do background reviews even in our live classes. These are extremely helpful for you to connect the previous idea. So what's the idea here? You have in, on, from, and with. These concepts you're gonna add with the basic Hindi sentence. So let's see how we can start. In, the word for in is may. Many times we pronounce it like man. Sometimes you'll have an in also at the end, but this is the best way to, as a beginner, to start simple, and then you can add on the nuances of it. So how do you say this? In the garden, you will say it as garden may. Garden may. Now here's the important note. The order is first of all flipped. In other words, you don't say in the garden, you say garden in. You flip it. So you say garden, and then over here you put may here, garden in. Garden in, like this. Okay, that's what it means here. Also note that there is no the in Hindi, so you never say in the garden. You're just gonna say garden in the in garden, or garden in. Right? That's the main idea. So here's the idea. How can you say library may? Say library may. That would mean in the library, right? It's not may library, it's library may. May means in. Now what you're going to do is the garden may idea that we were speaking about over here, garden may. You're going to add this garden may here at the end of the sentence just to start out. Amit lunch khata hai garden mein. So we have 2 parts here. Amit lunch khata hai, Amit eats lunch, and then you say garden may is in the garden. Amit lunch khata hai garden may. Now if you already are a speaker of Hindi, there is a more standard way of saying it, but this is just for the beginners. I would highly suggest you will speak much faster if you put this at the end. Amit lunch khata hai garden may. Now you tried. How can you say Anita watches a movie in the theater? Remember, watch means dekh. So now you're making a longer sentence. Anita watches a movie. Anita movie blah blah blah, and then put the in the theater at the end, right? Same way, Suraj makes a dosa. Try to say this sentence, try to practice this sentence. Suraj makes a dosa, and then in the kitchen is at the end, right? Remember, the word for make is bana. Okay, if you're having trouble with this, you will definitely benefit from watching the videos or join our live classes. This way learning becomes so seamless. Just talking with us, you will see it's very affordable. Just talking will help you a lot. Now is a very important part of Hindi. 2 styles of speech. So one is the English speaker style. What does this mean? Anita sees a movie in the theater, right? Anita movie dekhti hai theater mein. Anita movie dekhti hai theater mein. This is what we did. We split it like an English speaker. Anita sees a movie in the theater. So that's why I call it like the English speaker style. Now there is this theater mein at the end of the sentence, like in English, right? This part over here, like this theater may, like how we have here. Now in actual Hindi, in a textbook, we will find the theater may in the second place, exactly the place where you had the question. Anita kaha movie dekhti hai? Anita theater mein movie dekhti hai. Right? This is the Hindi textbook style. You'll always see the textbooks using it this way, but we are practical people. We want to speak Hindi, and we want to speak it the fastest way possible and the most correct way possible. And this is how you'll say this. Anita theater mein movie dekhti hai. Anita sees a movie in the theater, like this, right? Okay, so remember the 2 ways are Anita movie dekhti hai theater mein, and the second way is Anita theater mein movie dekhti. Right, 2 ways of putting it. All right, now our suggestion is for us to use the English speaker style because it's easier. First of all, it's easier. You'll see how easy it is. The other one is harder, and it sounds more organic as well. It sounds like you know a lot of Hindi already.
if you're fluent with this, start practicing with the Hindi textbook style, but at the start try to use the speaker style, the English speaker style. Eventually you will mix both styles, and this will make the Hindi sound way more organic, way more organic. This is how most people speak. When they write it, they use it this way, but when they speak it, they mix both styles. All right, now try the English speaker style first. How can you say this? Radha eats a dosa in the restaurant. Remember, put the in the restaurant at the end. How can you say Radha eats? The eat word is kha right here. So let's start. Radha, how can you say it? I think you got it. Pause the video if you need more time, but now let's move on. Now let's try the same sentence but in the Hindi textbook style. So remember, in the restaurant part comes right after Radha. So you say Radha, then the in the restaurant part, and then you complete the sentence. You'll see it's a bit harder. That is the reason why I've asked you to say it this way, and it's very acceptable to say it. It actually sounds even more cool to say it this way. This sounds a bit stuffy if you keep using this all of the time. It almost feels like you're reading from a book. All right, let's move on to the next preposition, which is on. On is easy. It's pay. The first one was may. This is pay. Pay. Okay, it's not pay. Remember, there's no H there. It's no H, just pay. Okay, how can you say? You can also use par. So par is the more formal way of saying it, but pay is more conversational, and so I've used pay here. Okay, so how do you say this? Terrace pay. Same idea. You flip it. The order is always flipped. You say terrace pay on the terrace. All right, so let's look at this terrace pay now, right? So pay means on, and remember the order is flipped. So you'll say terrace pay means on the terrace. So terrace on, that's what you mean, or terrace on, right? Or roof on the roof, you'll say roof on. Okay, so now how can you add the terrace pay at the end of the sentence? Amit lunch khata hai terrace pay, right? Or Amit lunch khata hai roof pay, or chat pay, which is the Hindi word for it. Remember, you're using the English speaker style. Amit lunch khata hai terrace pe. Right. Now you tried. Radha film dekhti hai couch pe. Right. Radha film dekhti hai couch pe. Radha watches the movie on the couch. Try to say it. Try to shadow me. This way you'll also grab the musicality of the Hindi sentence. Right. Radha film dekhti hai couch pe. All right. Now you tried. How can you say I eat lunch on the table? And remember, the table is kha. May. Remember, this pronunciation is may, not my. It's may. I eat lunch on the table. I eat lunch is the first part. On the table is the second part. Next one. We hear a song on the terrace. Same. Sun means hear. So how can you say we hear a song? And they say on the terrace. Right? So those are the two parts. All right. Next one is from, which is say. Say. So how do we use this part now? The say. India say. Again, we flip the order, and so it becomes from India. India say means from India. Right? Now, let's look at this part. Let's add the India say like this. Rohit hai. And you put India say here. Rohit India say hai. Right? This is a good use of it. Rohit is from India. Right? Aap kahan se hai? You are from where? Right? Aap kahan se hai? Means you are from where. Right? Kahan means where, and say is from. So you say aap kahan se hai? Okay. You try now. I am from New York. How can you start? Main. Remember, you put New York and then the preposition and then whom. He is from Singapore. Very nice. I think you got it. Okay. Now let's work on this next part with this kaise. This is the fourth one. Remember, we've done may. We've done may here. We've done may. Pay over here. This part. Pay, which is on. Then we've done say, which is from, and now the last of this important one is kaise, means with. So just put it after, not before. Remember, here is before. This becomes after, which is why this preposition we've used it because it's friendlier. But the technical word for it is the postposition because it comes after the word, right? It is positioned after the mom, but we'll just call it preposition just because it's easier. So maa ke saath means with mom. माँ के साथ, right? Next one. Radha lunch खाती है माँ के साथ. Radha eats lunch with mom. Radha lunch खाती है माँ के साथ, right? All right. Now you tried. I go to the park with Anita. How can you say this one? How can you say it? How can you try it? I go to the park is easy. Then with Anita is the other part. I go to the park with Anita. Anita ke saath, right? Rohit makes coffee. The word for coffee is right here. Sorry, the word for make is right here. How can you say Rohit makes coffee with Priya? Easy enough. Remember, it's not ke saath Priya. That's the hint for you. It's Priya and then the preposition or the postposition. Last one, super important. O'clock. O'clock means the time. So baje means o'clock. Right? Baje means o'clock. So do baje means 2 o'clock. Do, or you can just say 2 baje. If you don't remember numbers, the baje is more important than the number because most Indians, most speakers will know the 2 already. So it's 2 baje, right? So the 2 baje is 2 baje. Very nice. Amit ghar aata hai 2 baje. Amit comes home at 2 o'clock. Again, you split this here. Amit ghar aata hai 2 baje. Remember, every single of these prepositions, you can put it 2 baje. You can move it here right after Amit. You can even put them here at the start. But just to have a very solid strategy, the easiest way to put it is where the English places at the end. Amit ghar aata hai 2 baje. Right? Let's try this one. Amit 2 baje ghar aata hai. This is the Hindi textbook style that I was talking about just a second ago. So you can put it here. Remember how this part is at the end. Amit comes home at 2 o'clock. Amit at 2 o'clock comes home. You can see it's a bit harder, but I think you should start practicing it just a little bit at this in a few weeks. Okay, how about this one? I go to the park at 1 o'clock. Go is ja. So main, yes, I think you got it. Remember, it's who at the end, not hai. Sometimes people make a mistake, right? But otherwise, you got it. Radha makes lunch at 2 o'clock. How can you say this one? 2 o'clock. If you want the numbers, we've got the numbers in our vocabulary list. It's on the website. Perfect. So let's look at the memorizer now. Rajesh goes home at 10 o'clock. So in the memorizers, we've been a bit strict. So you'll get more practice. We put this in the Hindi speaker style. Rajesh 10 baje ghar jata hai. Right? Rajesh 10 baje ghar jata hai. Let's try the next one. This part is also important. This part is not explained in the memorizer. We do explain this in our classes. This is sham ko. Sham is in the evening, and then the ko you put here in place of in because it's not physically in, it's just at evening, right? So that's what it means. In the garden, very easy. Garden mein, right? So this way you can keep practicing. Where is Rohit? Rohit kahan hai? Rohit chat pe hai, etc. So you can use all of these ideas, and you can say we bring paneer from the store, etc. So now you know it. The dukaan se can come here. Remember, to start practicing, you can put the dukaan se at the end as well. All the answer keys are right here. This memorizer has helped so many people in our live classes and just on the websites. You will see how it works very well. So practice it, practice, and let's move on now to the next topic, which is going to help you to understand the tenses even better. It's going to help you to improve your conversations. Let's go. Okay, let's look at prepositions and postpositions. Conversation. You know how to use may, pe, se, ke, saath, and baje. And we're going to use this and more of the previous ideas in this. So remember, you've done the practice for the grammar. Now it's the fun time to start speaking. So let's describe our house. This is a solid one. So how can you describe our house? First of all, you say this is my house. Remember, this is ye and my is mera and house is ghar. How can you say this is my house? Ye mera ghar hai. Right? Very nice. Ye mera ghar hai. Okay, next one. How can you say my house is in New York? How can you say my house is in New York? Remember, in New York is New York mein. How can you say my house? Yes, mera ghar New York mein hai. Very nicely done. Okay, now the next one. My house has 4 rooms, or a better way to say in Hindi is in my house are 4 rooms. Okay, so how can you try this one? Or in the house. So you will say ghar mein means in the house. Okay, you can even drop this and say in the house, ghar mein, right? And this is a very, very useful expression. Ghar mein 4 rooms, 4 rooms hai. Okay, the 4 is char and room is kamre, but that's not important right now. You can use 4 rooms, not a problem. Ghar mein 4 rooms hai, right? Easy. How can you say on the table are 3 books? Easy, the same idea. Table par or table pe 3 books hai, right? And the word is books is kitabe, so you can use kitab or kitabe. That's not the higher priority, but more importantly, can you say this part? Table par 3 books hai. Okay, now how can you say there's also a computer? And I'll tell you the word for also is bhi. Yes, try it. I think you got it. एक computer भी है. Note how I said the computer, right? This is a very Hindi way of saying it, computer. So this is what we'll do in our live sessions also. We'll check your pronunciation, the musicality. Otherwise, it starts sounding a bit off. You start sounding like a foreigner. You want to sound more integrated within the culture and the language. Next one, how can you say in the kitchen are two chairs? Easy. Kitchen में दो chairs हैं, right? दो chairs, and the word for chairs is कुर्सियाँ. Okay, but that's not important. You can use it if you want to. दो कुर्सियाँ हैं. Okay, kitchen में दो कुर्सियाँ हैं, and the word for kitchen is rasoi. So if I were to tell you, how can you say this word rasoi? In the kitchen are two. In the kitchen is let's say one boy, and the word for boy is ladka. How can you say that? Yes, you'll say kitchen में एक लड़का है. Kitchen में एक लड़का है. There's a boy in the kitchen. Very nice. Excellent, right? Now you know this. Now how can you say this part? This is a very cool idea to say the kitchen is the house is beautiful. The word for beautiful is sundar or pretty. So how can you say kitchen? How can you say the house is beautiful? Ghar sundar hai. That's an expression. The ghar is pretty, but how pretty is the house? It's a rhetoric. You can say ghar kitna sundar hai. This house is so pretty. You like your own house, you say the house is so pretty. This is an expression that's also useful, and it's just an expression. Every conversation we will have at least an expression to use. This way you learn how to say this. It sounds more organic, more complete, more human when you use these expressions as opposed to just a textbook sentences. Now, let's try one more. Let's try to describe the garden in the house. So how can you say in the house there's a garden? So garden, घर में एक garden है और एक बाग है. Baag is a word for garden, but you can just use garden for now. Okay, remember the structure is more important. Okay, now how can you ask, is there a garden in the house? Question. Garden में घर में garden है, like this, and you can say yes, there's a small garden. So how can you say हाँ जी? Haan is yes, and you can say ek small is chota. So see if you can, how can you say this one? Chota. Okay, the ta is like this. Okay, ha, yes, there is a small garden. Ha, ek chota garden hai. Right, very nice. Now what else can you say? What is in the garden? So garden mein kya hai? Right, garden mein kya hai? And then you're gonna say in the garden there are 3 trees. So garden mein 3 trees hai. And some is kuch, some plants hai, kuch plants hai. In the garden are 3 trees and a few plants. Very nice. So you can say these now. Okay, now how can you say trees? The word for tree is paid and plant is paudhe, but that's not as important. You can say garden mein. See if you want to say, you can try it and post your answers in the comments. How can you say in the garden are 3 trees and a few plants, right? So this way you can say this. Now what else can you say? You can say and. In Hindi, and means what else? They're equivalent, and the word is or. So you can just say or. So tell me more. That's what it means. Or means yes. What else do you have? And then you can say there are also 2 chairs. So remember we did also. The also word is bhi. How can you say there are also 2 chairs? So you will say do kursiyan or do chairs. You can just directly say do chairs bhi hai, right? Do chairs bhi hai. So that's how you'll say this. Now next, what else can you say? And 1 table. The word for table is maize. How can you say this? Or a table hai. The word for table, you can use it if you want to. It's not mandatory, but the structure is important. You want to put or at the start, then ek, which is 1, and hai importantly at the end. Don't forget those parts, right? Vocabulary can easily come once you know this, once you develop the confidence for your grammar. Okay, now next one, you want to say sometimes. Now this is a bit more advanced, but this also helps in the conversation. These little bits here and there, how do you add them? That's where the conversation is useful. So how can you say this? Sometimes is kabhi kabhi. Kabhi kabhi, you might have heard this word. Kabhi kabhi. Sometimes I sit in the garden. And the word for sit, you know this from your earlier learning. Sit is bat. How can you say I sit in the garden? Kabhi kabhi main garden. Yes, try it. I think you got it. Main garden mein baithti hu. Right? Right? Sometimes I sit in the garden. What else do? I drink coffee or tea. So how can you say? And the word for drink is pee. right? So that means to drink. So how can you say, and I drink coffee or chai piti hu? सब और man you will say if you're a masculine, if you're a man you will say मैं garden में बैठता हूँ और चाय पीता हूँ. Right, so this is some good expression. These are some good conversations, and of course you want to end with an expression. What is the expression? I love my garden or I like my garden. The word for that is pasand hai, and we look at this pasand hai more in detail in a upcoming session. But for now, you can say garden pasand hai. Right, garden bahut pasand hai also works like this. Okay, when you like something, you can just say pasand hai. This is the expression. So remember, every conversation you want to have a little bit of an expression to make it more real, more human. So now you can post your snippets. Just try to say how you can express something, maybe you about your house or about your car or about your garden or your school, anything. There are certain things inside it, describe it, and certain things around it, describe it, and then finally don't end it without saying you love that place, you love your garden or your house or your school or your office. Okay, this is exactly what we do. This is a very small snippet of what we do in our live sessions. Remember, you're going to have a lot of fun in this. So let's move on to the next grammar idea now.